Welcome to Wednesday, the somethingth of January. This week I've been painting Kill Team, or rather, this Kill Team commission that I was painting last week. So, biggest update I guess is the guys that I painted are now on bases. And that's because I didn't get much time to actually paint in the last week. I had a lot of things I had to do over my weekend that meant I wasn't in the house. And before that as well I had a bunch of videos to edit, hold up a bunch of stuff that meant I wasn't actually at the painting table. So I got some stuff done, and hopefully I'll get a lot more done this week. But I've still got Zarbag's Skits to finish editing today, if I can. And the How to Thin Paints video I'm going to be writing while that's editing. So I'm not going to get much painting done today either. In fact, the only thing I've done today is mount these guys on these clear acrylic bases which just arrived, because I wanted to see what it was about. I don't recommend this particular company. ttcombat.com is where I got them from. I don't know if other brands don't do it differently, but these guys leave them on these little frames. They're laser cut, but they leave them on these little frames. Which means that you have to push them out, which means they get little burrs on the sides that you have to smooth down. They feel really horrible and they could catch quite easily on clothing, for example. Which, if you've got a sleeve when you're playing a game, you could quite easily catch it, pull them over, knock them out of position. Yeah, so I don't know why they don't just laser cut out an entire circle and then just bag them up into bags of 25, which is what they sell them in. So, yeah. Cheap, though, and not that hard to work with. It feels like it's dulling my drill bit with each one that I pin. I'm just pinning them in. I'm not even using glue on most of these guys. The pressure fit is actually keeping them in really well. That's because acrylic's got zero give to it, unlike resin cast bases, which have got a little bit of give. The acrylic's got no give whatsoever. So it's keeping them completely pressure fit in there, because I always end up drilling the holes slightly closer together than the pins are supposed to be. Only by like 1/10 of a millimetre or something. But it works out to the pins essentially being forcing everything into pressure, so it's not coming off and there's no glue holding that model in place. So this is the display quality Sergeant. Most of the difference is in the face. You can see the chainsaw's quite nice there, the edge highlighting on the armour, the highlighting on the pants is also better, and the boots is pretty good. I also finished off 2 of the tabletop quality rifles. You can see that mostly the fatigues are just washed. They get like one colour and a wash. And the same for the pants. Airbrushed and then washed. But the rest of the details are pretty much the same. So, you know, the leather parts take the same amount of time regardless of whether or not I paint them well or paint them badly. It's like the difference is, oh well, it'd just be one colour. So I do the edge highlighting on the leather and it makes it look really nice. And if you hit those little details, it can do a lot of work on a tabletop piece. So the black takes the same amount of time no matter how I paint it, since it's pretty much just a really dark grey. I just use 2 paints, black and white, and I mix them for doing that. And the faces are super simple. Just start off with an airbrush and then do a couple of little highlights with Kislev flesh and then paint the lips. And since they've got helmets on which cast shadow, I don't even do the eyes on the tabletop ones. You can't see them. Yeah, it's relatively quick to paint these guys in this colour scheme. So there you go, I've done that one, and I've done another one over here who's got a scratch on her armour because there's a little bit of a casting issue there, so I turned it into a bit of a feature. generally what I've done it on the shoulder pads as well. Sometimes where there's a casting issue, I just turn it into a feature on the model. Especially since most of these models I haven't been able to tell if they had casting issues until I got paint on them. So some of them I'm going to be able to fix with PVA glue, but most of them I'm just going to have to try and flip around and turn into a feature of damage on the armour. So this is the other tabletop figure. Again, it's about 2 hours each for the paint job. I batch paint a bunch of them as well to speed it up. The drummer is about 3.5 hours in at the moment. Still got the purity seal here on the drum to paint, and a little bit of edge highlighting on the metallics, and probably a little bit of another wash on there. But otherwise pretty much done. I'm not sure how to paint these shoulder pads just yet, and I might end up repainting the face because I'm not completely happy with how it's turned out. The eyes kind of just look a mess in real life. They look much better under a magnifier than they do in real life, and I think it might just end up resulting in me just redoing the entire face on this model, to be honest. Again, some issues with casting quality from the Victoria's miniatures, but otherwise not too bad on the drummer. I'm mostly just not a fan of the actual sculpting style of these figures. It's not something I really like anymore. Yeah, it reminds me of Games Workshop circa 1997. So, you know, that's getting on for over 20 years ago now. So that's pretty much finished. This guy's mostly finished, but these three are done. I've got the rest of the las rifle section batch painted up, apart from one who had some mould release on and the primer didn't want to take, so I had to strip that back, clean it up again. So this is what they look like after the airbrushing and wash step. The heads aren't glued in. Whoops. So you can see the heads are just on pins. I can kind of mix and match and swap them out and choose the ones that I like best at the end. So yeah, this is airbrushing and washes stage. The next step is tarting up the fatigues a little bit, doing the edge highlighting in all the green areas. Then it's painting all of the leather and black parts, because I do that before I do these hands and arms, because it's a bit easier that way. Then I do the heads, the arms, and then matte coat and all the metallics at the end after the matte coat, so that it's not affected. So yeah, I've got 6 of those on the corks at the moment. Hopefully be done over the next 2 to 3 days. This one is an Nco Grenadier, hence different hat. Got a helmet on the back there. Different head, not hat. And she's supposed to be to display quality, but she's got a casting issue down the middle of this arm. That's a mould slip, which I couldn't see while I was cleaning the models. I'm not sure what I can do about that. The bit on the actual clothing is probably not going to notice, but the bit on the inside of the arm might. So I'll come up with some kind of solution. Hopefully it won't involve stripping the model. But to this stage isn't particularly time consuming. It's about 10 minutes work to that stage, so it's not a big deal. The rest of them, all over here, we've got this feather with a machine gun. Had to mini put some of the arms to get them to fit. Again, massive amounts of fit issues on these Victoria's miniatures. I don't recommend them at all, really. Just like steer clear of this company. The casting quality and the fit and compatibility between all the parts isn't really there. And personally, on a personal level, you know, completely subjective, I just don't like the sculpting. So yeah, I've got all of the special weapons and one las rifle to do over there, which is 6 models. And I've done no extra work on the Colonel from Artel W. I'm saving that model until the end as a reward. So the only other thing I've been working on is my Primaris Lieutenant for the Raptors. Had another stab at some non-metallic gold. It's not looking too bad. Needs a little bit more contrast. I'm thinking of making the highlight area a little bit bigger on that scabbard there. Did all the leather pouches across the entire model. This is just, yeah, well, it's not even blue tacked on. It was just sitting there. So I've done all the leather pouches across the entire torso. This holstered pistol is now glued on. I've got to paint this laurel and skull over here, Honor, on his leg. I'm going to be doing the belt buckle in non-metallic metal steel of some description, similar to the grip of the gun over there. And then it's pretty much onto damaging the armour, which I'll be doing afterwards. Now, this isn't going to be a Golden Demon single figure entry, this is going to be part of a squad. I'm going to be doing a kill team. Here's his head. It's just airbrushed on a spike at the moment. Nothing much going on there. Yeah, it's going to be the commander of a kill team. It's going to be 5, maybe 6 models. 7 if I really push it. But it's going to be this guy and an intercessor sergeant and an intercessor and a reaver sergeant and another reaver. They're all going to be push fit. So I'm entering an almost entirely push fit Golden Demon entry this year. But I'm doing all the non-metallic metals on them because I want to try it out. And it's not looking too bad. Like, you hold it in one angle for long enough, your brain might think it's a thing. You move it around, your brain goes, that's wrong. So that's that, and that's the only other thing I painted this week. Like I said, didn't get much done. We'll be getting a lot more done hopefully this week. But I've got How to Thin Paints, which will be coming up at some point soonish, and Zarbag's Gits, which I'm editing today, but I might not get time to do that. But yeah, I'm going to start writing How to Thin Paints, try and finish editing Zarbag's Gits, but I've got to wait for this video to render out before I can do that. So yeah, there's a lot of waiting. And then it's back on with the kill team. So that's the status of everything at the moment. Thank you to everyone who became a patron over the last week and a bit. Welcome to the club. It's nice to see you. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yep, can't think of anything else. Like I said, pretty slow week. So you can subscribe up there for tutorials and all of my stuff. Also click the bell, that notifies you about videos and things. Patreon is there, check it out, and there's colour guides and stuff for all the things I paint. That's another video, and that's my social medias over there. That's it, thanks for watching, bye bye.